All right, now that the recording is started, I think the right procedure is to entertain a motion to open the meeting.
Hold on. I just started.
Oh, sorry. Thought we had.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I'm going to move to open the meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is open. This is a work session. We have our current procedure in order to remedy the problem of discussion items going very late into the night has been to hold a separate work session 1 week and 1 day ahead of our regularly scheduled meetings. As work sessions, these are applicant issues are discussed only in terms of completeness. Anyone can watch, including the applicant, but the point of this on the applicant issues is merely to understand what's going to be before us and make sure that we're not missing anything so that we have as complete a record as we can going into the night of the meeting and hopefully streamline our discussion. And then we can undertake substantive work on the non-applicant items. But what we deliberate in public, we do applicant items and even applicant deliberation at a full meeting. So hopefully we will keep these short and limited to that purpose. We're not gonna talk about what we want to do on it. We need to talk about what we're going to see on them. The first two items on our agenda, and for folks at home, if you're having any difficulty with Zoom link, you can watch on LMC TV. If you're having trouble with LMC TV, you can watch on the YouTube stream. And if you can't hear, you can call in at the regular meetings. You can be heard by telephone when it's time for public comment. And thank you for watching if you are, because whether you're entertained, bored, or annoyed, at least you're paying attention to public affairs, and I appreciate that. So the first applicant item we have up is 1165 Grecian Point Road. We heard this item at the May 13 meeting, and for consistency, planning heard it at May 13, and we heard it for consistency review on May 20. We discussed it briefly at the last work session, and then did not take it up at our regular meeting. Now, I understand that we have a brand new significant revision to the application, which will be on for our meeting next Wednesday night, which changes the amount of fill, changes the orientation of some of the work, the size of some of the elements. We're all going to need to give that a good hard look, and I have had very limited time with it so far. I will tell you what I was expecting for next time. I think I've been as transparent as possible. I think we are going to once again take up the issue of the fill, the amount of which has changed substantially in the new iteration, as I understand it. I am looking for further guidance from Brian, and I think I want to do some more thinking and get some more advice about the possible alternatives under the various county regulations and statutes as it goes to alternatives to replacing existing septic, etc. I am primarily focused on those issues. Those are the things I think I need to know how to cast my vote next time. But each of you folks has your own vote and your own decisions about what information you need. What else do we think that we need to have on? Because if we know anything about the applicant's counsel, they will bend over backwards to get us anything that will help us make a decision as quickly as they can.
Well, Thomas, you had raised some important things. I'm still looking for compliance with Chapter 3 of the Stormwater Design Manual. Maybe Brian can help us out with that. Because what I'm seeing is, just to give everybody an overview, if you want to look at the Stormwater Design Manual in Chapter 3, there's a site planning portion of it before even the stormwater gets designed. And key to this, that falls within our LWRP Policy 44, is preservation of natural resources. You preserve the undisturbed areas, which is placing into permanent conservation easement wetlands and natural terrain. Define, delineate, and place permanent conservation easement in naturally vegetated buffers along perennial streams, rivers, and shorelines and wetlands, and limit clearing and grading to a minimum amount needed for roads, driveways, foundations, utilities, and stormwater management facilities. The other thing that's really important in this application that we haven't touched on yet is a discussion of Policy 17 in our LWRP. The applicant has not provided us with alternatives to this even changed plan. And that has to be compliant with our flood damage prevention law. And I think what's important is, since the attorney wrote in her discussion that this is a substantial improvement, and when that occurs in our flood damage prevention law, the house has to be elevated in an AE zone. So when you look at what's in the Stormwater Design Manual, Policy 44 in our LWRP, and our floodplain development laws, what's been proposed still needs development. It's still not compliant, as far as I see.
Doreen, just to sort of bring it to a point, what documents if you know, what documents would help you conclude your deliberation on these issues?
I have them already. What I think is important, though, the village has a floodplain administrator. As far as fill to elevate the house, that's a structural type thing. And water needs to be able to flow in an AE zone when you have a substantial improvement from my read of the code. So it might be good to tap into the floodplain administrator's expertise on this, because the village needs to have a floodplain administrator in order to implement our floodplain laws. Maybe the building inspector can help with that too. I'm not sure. But we need to see compliance with our code, because I don't think floodplain can even be entertained without seeing how the plan can be pulled out of the wetlands buffer, reorganizing the structure and all of the various facets. The other thing, weren't we supposed to receive something on an alternative of a private sewer line?
Well, that's what I was referencing when I talked to Brian, because I have, while it's been raised and it's been discussed, I am still not resolved that I've seen everything I need to see to understand. The applicant's made claims that it is either impractical or impossible or illegal or something. I lack sufficient evidentiary material in front of me to conclude that any of those things are quite correct.
I note that they have provided, I think, just a single page called a presentation around sewer, septic, and so maybe they plan to discuss it, but I could only guess. Have you guys seen the same, which is the presentation, but it's just a single page?
Yeah, it just shows the connections, who's connected to what.
Yeah.
But it doesn't answer the fundamental question of why they can or cannot attach to the sewer.
Exactly. I only wonder, and maybe it's not even worth speculating, since it's called sewer presentation, if they plan to present something at the meeting. But otherwise, I agree.
Okay. Thank you, Seamus. Martin, sounds like you're looking at the same thing.
And I have an additional item to add, since it's kind of my only item to your narrow question here, Thomas, of what else we would expect to see. I don't know, and I would welcome a discussion if anyone else has thoughts on the commission here, or otherwise. But there was the letter from DEC that was kind of open items, and I believe what we have now is responses to that from the applicant, but nothing back from DEC. So I believe our current latest from DEC is the same as prior, which is the letter noting non-compliance, if that's the right word. I have it handy.
Incomplete.
Incomplete, right. Incomplete. That's a much better. Thank you, Doreen.
But what's also most important is we haven't corresponded with DEC, and according to procedures which are in the New York State Coastal Management Program, because our LWRP is old, we are to respond to the DEC within 30 days of them asking us to provide them with information as to conflicts, consistency, or where we're at with that. So we better be prepared to do that at our next meeting.
Okay, well then, hopefully we'll come to a conclusion jointly as a commission, or at least task somebody with drafting a letter, because we're gonna have to do that. All right, does any other commissioner have something that they want to see in this file to help us reach a conclusion on consistency at our Wednesday meeting? I guess that's just Andrew. Andrew?
I'm here. You hit on it. I'd like more information on the sewer lines,
Okay.
on the feasibility of the private sewer.
All right, I think we've been really clear on what our focus is, so there's some other items open there. All right, there we go.
Mr. Chair, just really quick question for the board. I just want to make sure that everyone has received the updated information from the applicant. We posted it on Novus, and I just wanted to make sure everyone has access and so forth. That's all.
Yep, I believe I have, because I think that's all those items that we were just referring to, the responses to the DEC letter, the sewer posting, and so on, were all new, dated. So it seems like it to me, not to speak for everyone, but that's what I was referring to. Thank you.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I can concur.
Okay, let's close that out and move on to 652 Shore Acres Drive. This is on the East Basin over at Shore Acres.
Mr. Chair, just so you know, got a letter today from the applicant asking that matter be adjourned.
Okay, that really clarifies that. Thank you.
There's one thing that's missing. There's one thing that's missing, because after it's adjourned at the next meeting, I won't be on the commission. But I did request at our last work session something that is basic. We do not have the topographical survey with special flood hazard areas on it. I don't know, William, if you have it and maybe not posted it, or if the applicant didn't submit it. You guys are going to need that, because a big thing here is there substantial improvement, and just what I said on Grecian Point Road should be clarified too.
Well, fair enough. So, the applicant is listening. And I'll follow up with the applicant tomorrow just to see whether or not we have it, or if they are in the process of obtaining it, with the intentions of submitting it. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't I know we're not going to spend much time on this, and I support that given that it's adjourned for the coming meeting, but it isn't the freshest in my mind since they didn't post any new documents. So I haven't really looked at anything. But I do know there were open items from Brian's write-up, and I always appreciate his comments on things. So I assume that by the time they come back around, if they're listening, that responses there and correspondence back and forth with Brian will be included.
Okay, and I think anybody else on Shore Acres 652? No. Okay. So that moves us to our discussion items. I want to take the Outfall Jetty first, unless anybody objects. And by I really want to let Andrew run with this, because he spent a lot more time and focus on it, and I really appreciate that. But it's his baby.
Sure. Thank you very much. So thanks to the keen eyesight of Doreen, she saw that the county, or the OGS, had applied for an underwater land easement in anticipation of starting that construction. And I was able to contact the village manager and say that we had some serious reservations about this project, and we had communicated with the village manager, 6 months ago, to try to get the county, to get some communication with the county. That didn't work. We reached out to the county executive's office. That didn't work. Just we're getting no response from the county of Westchester with respect to the construction of the project. So it seems like this was sliding under the fence, as they say, and we were able to communicate through the village manager to the board, and the easement is being held up, which is good. It was not on the, I don't think it was at either the regular session or on the work session. So what we have to do now, we all, hopefully you've all seen that letter that I drafted. I think we have to send a letter to the Board of Trustees outlining our position on this. And we have to go, as Steve Ressler suggested, to the Department of State, which oversees all these other county agencies. And we have to lobby the Department of State that this project has to conform to the proper procedure. When we heard about this a year and a half ago, it was told to us that the Westchester County doesn't have to answer to a smaller village municipality. We researched past administrations of Harbor Coastal, and that was not the case. So we want to get this, we want to stop the project from moving forward until we can do the correct review, a thorough review, communicate with the county. Obviously, something's got to be done there, but we want to get it in front of our commission like any other applicant would. They do need a marine structures permit, and there are a lot of environmental concerns, as we discussed in that letter. So I think has everyone seen the letter?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so if you have any comments, I think that please send those on, and we will draft something to the Board of Trustees to let them know our position. And then we will go back to Department of State. Thomas, the county executive's office, that seems to be a dead end. Is that correct?
I was very frustrated with how that was handled. The county executive's director of constituent services sort of said, well, I told him, they figured out who the appropriate person was and said, well, I kind of told them to call you. And usually when I do that, it means they do. And there were 3 rounds of that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So I think that the main goal now is to let everyone in the village, all the relevant and important agencies and officials know what's going on, get a consensus on that, and go through the proper channels. And the last channel, and I guess the most appropriate channel now, is the Department of State, which, from what Mr. Ressler told me, is there to mediate, and yeah, I'm looking for the right word, but okay, mediate these agency differences. So again, we want to avoid any harm to the harbor. We don't want to, get construction started and have to stop it. That would create problems. But we want to let everyone in the village know what's going on. Get them back on the list here and talk about this. I'm sure it could be worked out, but there's a procedure. It's got to be followed. The jetty, even though it's county property, is in the village of Mamaroneck, in our harbor, and there's some serious concerns. And the most important of which is the environmental ramifications, the precedent, and making the park a better place for everyone. But we have to get this thing rolling. We got to get it discussed. The important thing is that it isn't started and then stopped, or started and something's done that would cause some harm. So I guess we'll get that. If you can get those comments back to me, I'll redraft, I'll incorporate, get back to Thomas with it, send out a final draft, and hopefully next week we can get it out to the Board of Trustees. And then Thomas and I will take it to the Department of State and let everyone know what's going on and see where they go.
Chair, I have a a question and a comment, if you don't mind.
Shoot.
My comment is that the village's response to the easement was technically due on November 16th, but the county has requested an extension to respond to the easement until November 30th. They're supposed to reach out to the state and let the state know. If there is no comment provided to the state by November 30th, then it appears that there wouldn't be any concerns with the project. So you will have to get your comments to the Board of Trustees ASAP, which it sounds like everyone's on track to do so, but I want to make that known. The other question I have is the Superior Governmental Organization. I don't remember me saying that, but I just wanted to know where that came from, that language.
So I don't mean to I don't want to unnecessarily spelunk through the history, but there was I think a well-meaning but significant miscommunication. This came to us the first time as a briefing, and we were told that consistency was not required and therefore there would be no vote. We were just being briefed on it by the county.
Right.
The reason we thought that was true is because we were told that by former planning staff who has since moved on.
I just want to, because if it was my language, I would like it amended. If it's not my language, then that's a different story. So
my clear recollection is that was not something you said. That was something that came from one-time planning staff that we all thought was true until we started doing some research. And it was too late to stop them and say, hang on, you're actually in front of us for consistency. But after we were briefed on it, we learned both that it comes before us for consistency and also that we own the underwater land, which means that they would need an easement from us to work in our harbor in the manner that
the state owns the underwater land. It's not the village, it's the state in that area.
I had sent everybody, when Andrew sent his email tonight, on our village website on the assessor maps, there's a tax map. It's a Westchester County map. I had sent you guys an email. It's PDF page 19. It's map number 18. If you look at it, the village owns the underwater land grant, but there hasn't been any research into that. The second thing I'll say is the village did an underwater land study in 1989. It used to be attached to our Harbor Coastal Zone Management Commission webpage. I don't know where it disappeared to. It's no longer there. That's an important document, and I emailed everybody for the 6 years that I've been on this commission. When I did inventory for the LWRP up grant, we received information from OGS on some updates. So everybody should have that email. I just forwarded it to Andrew this afternoon again. But we do have to update that. The other thing I sent along was the OGS documentation that we received, and I'm glad you found out, Christy, that there's some time frame extension. We also have to look at public lands law, because I think if we're going to recommend to the Board of Trustees how we need to pretty much explain why it's key that they either not consider or cautiously consider what the county is requesting, that it involves navigation and a public beach, among other things, and recreation. So I'll send the public lands law that OGS referred to way back in 2015. That was the one document I couldn't get to everybody when we make our comments.
Hey, Doreen, this is a 58-page document that you sent to tax maps. Do you know what page you're talking about? Where it shows that we have underwater land rates?
Oh, you're kidding. It's 58 pages? You didn't get the PDF?
Yeah, it's a 58-page PDF.
It's section, hold on a second. Oh, I thought it only gave you that one section. Let me figure out what section it's in.
I think it's page 19.
Well, it's page 19, but it's in section 9. let me see. It is,
Yeah, I see it now. I see it now on page 19.
page 19. Look at the insert where it says harbor. There's an insert. I don't know if you can enlarge it. There are 2 grants. There's a line of a grant to the village of Mamaroneck, and then there's a line of something merit grant to village of Mamaroneck. So there are 2, but it extends from the edge of the pier, probably at mean high water, because that's generally how things work. And these are public trust lands, too. So, everybody in the state of New York has the ability to be at the foreshore. So this is key. This is important. In the past, OGS gave an underwater land grant to a project here in the village without a public hearing. So this is really key to get information back. And hopefully the Board of Trustees will follow our lead and move along with it.
Okay, so we'll get the letter out to, we'll get all our comments back. I guess you can send back to Andrew and me, because that doesn't constitute a quorum. Just make sure there's never more than 3 on it, because otherwise it breaks the work group size and becomes a quorum. Our next discussion item is the wetlands ordinance. That was in my lap, and we're going to have to take that up at the meeting because I have not been able to advance the ball, frankly. I'm sorry for the delay. After that, we've got.
Sorry to interrupt.
Go
The
ahead.
question I had with the adjacent area definition, see watercourse wetland buffer, has that been resolved?
Not in the posted documents, right? Yeah.
That's what I have to circle back on. LWRP, we're waiting for planning staff to be fully up to speed before we, that's among the most important things we're ever going to do. And it will last for decades. So we want to do that deliberatively. And we've got.
And Thomas, on that. Yeah, go ahead, William.
I'm sorry. Just out of curiosity, what is the for the LWRP? What is the commission's time frame as it relates to trying to get that? I guess sent to the Board of Trustees.
Well, that's a fair question, and it's a years-long process, right? So in a sense, it's very overdue, but in another sense, it's done when it's done. I'm just going to throw out there. Do we think it's realistic to have it in front of them in February?
That sounds realistic.
There are a number of resource lists that are still incomplete, or inventories, and we may have to, and there may be things that we can't complete there that we have to be subject to. And we should revisit with staff whether there's any provision for resource inventories that are not complete to be completed later, so that we can move it forward. We have things like species lists and lists of historic resources that I'm not sure we have that would actually take inventory. And we don't want to block ourselves out from completing that work. Go ahead, Jim.
My question is, we had punted on it last month, I think for good reason, to allow staff to get more up to speed on it. I hope our intention is not to punt on it again this meeting. So do you want, or what are your thoughts on what we do at our next meeting about a week away?
Well, we put it off at the request of staff. So I guess that's really to William. What are we ready to move forward on it at this? What can we get done on it at this meeting?
I think if we take what the Department of State provided, the LWRP guidebook, there's a checklist in it that will give you an idea of the requirements to do the amendment. that might be a good start. I've circulated a memo since I collected inventory, and I was with our board for a very long time as to what the loose ends were to tie up to get this finished. I don't know if you want to consider that. But you have to start from somewhere, and maybe either the checklist in that LWRP update, the Department of State guidebook, their checklists. And also William Sharp's memos, there are 2 of them that I circulate to everybody. We're still not in compliance with laws. One of them is our consistency law. So, and that
Right,
could
so-
better serve the board.
Fair enough.
Okay, so that's a discrete set of things that we should be able to talk about at the next meeting.
And I assume that what William and others have been reviewing is the red line of the current state of the LWRP, which it's possible to go through and inventory open items there versus just changes in language. And I think what we should, in my opinion, what we should be prepared to do at the next meeting is to identify some tasks that can then be completed by the next meeting. So I think we've spent enough time, giving people a chance to read the red line and get oriented. So now I think we need to be specific. So if we still have another week, so what I would suggest is that everyone familiarize themselves to the extent that they can. But let's be prepared to pull open items from the checklists that Doreen mentioned, or from the red line, because the red line is not just changes. If you go through it, the red line has this is something that's needed type of stuff. So I think we inventory those and come up with a plan on how to update them. That's what I'd like to see happening. And I'm happy to kind of identify a few of those myself and bring them to the meeting. But I think the next meeting should be specific rather than general on the next steps.
I think that's right. Okay. Unless anybody,
Just so you know, planning staff, we have read the document, and we will follow up, as you suggested. The only other question I have for the board is, in terms of the update, just out of curiosity, who wrote the update?
it's been a joint project between a lot of people, including a subcommittee and former staff.
Okay, fair enough.
What actually happened was the Board of Trustees had 2 planners to do the update, and it wasn't really complete. And what we have in front of us that is redlined was a 6-month effort by the Harbor and Coastal Zone Management Commission that broke into subgroups. And what you have to do is you absolutely have to make this, whatever you do with the update, available to the public and have public and stakeholder participation, because that's required. So that's what we did, and that actually was a report of the things that Harbor Coastal Zone Management Commission found missing from an amendment to our LWRP. Not the LWRP.
Okay. So,
Mr. Chair, just before you move on, I'm sorry, I just realized this. Probably should have done this in the very beginning. But at your last work session, you asked that the harbor master come to the meeting tonight. He's here tonight so you all can introduce yourselves. And I don't want to keep him if we don't have to, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really shy. I thought you were here on Outfall Jetty. Hello, welcome, thank you. Our commission's mandate includes, as I think you know, being a permitting authority for marine structures and implementing the harbor plan. You know more about that than any of us ever will. So we really appreciate having somebody with expertise in the working harbor that we can look to answer our harbor related questions and keep us on our mandate.
Sure, anything you need, just feel free to ask. Right now, I'm only here on a part-time basis until I guess they go through the whole hiring process, and then we'll see what happens from there. But, I'm here through January at least. So anything you need, just let me know.
All right,
Please help
unless
us.
anyone has,
Mr. LaRusso, is there anything, any current conditions in the harbor that we should know about?
The biggest thing right now is the seawall in the West Basin,
Right.
which you guys already talked about the county pier. So those are right now the two biggest issues as far as, I mean, other than moorings and docks and that stuff, those are the two biggest issues.
and the seawall is being
seawall is
handled as,
holding, oh, is it?
the seawall is being handled as an in-kind in place?
I don't know much about it because I've only been here part-time since June, so I don't know what's been done. Nobody's really
Okay.
briefing on it or where.
Instead of asking you, I'll tell you. As I understand it, the repairs to the seawall right now are being done as in-kind, in-place replacements,
Okay.
because that's the fast way to do it. It doesn't require clearance from anybody. There may be places where improvements are necessary or advisable, but if it's going to be different than what's there, then it has to jump hoops, particularly us, because as marine structures, we're the permitting authority. But of course, we will move as quickly as we can.
Has anybody come down here and looked at the wall in the West Basin by the Coast Guard building and behind the Marine Unit office?
Oh, yes.
I know it's in rough shape.
Yeah.
And with
I know
every
it's in
high-
rough shape. There are sections of that are being worked on, or at least as of a few weeks ago, were being worked on to repair them as in-kind, in-place replacements, just fixing exactly what's there.
Well, that was all the East Basin they did. That was from the storm. That's all done. This hasn't been touched here in the West Basin at all.
No, and I'm concerned every time we have a high tide that ramp is going to pull away from the wall.
Yeah, I actually removed the Coast Guard ramp for that reason, because it was getting twisted because the wall is dropping, and where that gangway was anchored, it was actually twisting the gangway. So I
And
brought
not only that, there are telephone poles, or what looks like telephone poles, coming through the wall.
those are probably the deadmen that were originally holding the wall.
Really? It's
Yeah.
not in good shape.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
want to up for any reason but in the future, we need to get this repaired quickly. But since we have an LWRP, the cost of these kinds of things we can receive grants through Environmental Protection Fund grants. I know at this point that definitely needs to be dealt with, and probably getting a grant would take a long time. But I think this commission really needs to move forward with working with the village manager, because there are a lot of things we could do that doesn't have to come out of the village's tax base, and get grant funding to do a lot in this village because we have an LWRP.
Right. And people are being kept off and away from that wall. Is that correct, Mr. LaRusso?
we have it, that section that's really bad, we have it, snow fence up around it to keep people off.
Yeah. That is really a collapse waiting to happen. We should, I'll try to follow up with the village manager after the holiday to see what the status of those repairs are. That's really an emergency.
Yeah.
Our former harbor master had this in his paperwork and budget for several years before it got to this point, but I guess we didn't get around to it.
Okay, so I think we've run through the introduction. We appreciate that you've got a really pressing issue with the West Basin wall. Thanks very much for taking the time this evening to come on with us, and we look forward to working with you.
All right.
Thanks, Mr. LaRusso.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you.
Too.
All right, we have last meeting we discussed the 50-foot setback public law proposal that came before us for consistency. We voted it not consistent. I wanted to check in with council. I did not get a chance to watch the Board of Trustees meeting, so I didn't see them discuss it, but I just wanted to get an update, if we could, on their understanding how that landed and what further information we're going to get so that we know how to proceed, hopefully next Wednesday.
Okay, so I'm a little bit confused because they agreed to hold off the public hearing until the 23rd. What my understanding was, and maybe I'm wrong here, is that that HCZM was going to be writing an opinion to the Board of Trustees explaining what their issues were with the law. When you say outstanding information, am I missing something, or what exactly are you looking for?
Well, we
Well-
essentially had two discussions. Doreen, let me take it. We essentially had two discussions. One was we had substantive issues where we have to tell them what our substantive issues are. And the other one was we're voting it down because it's incomplete. Part of the reason it was incomplete was because I don't think we even had a complete CAF for it. And we had reasons why it was incomplete. So that's on them. Our opinion is on us. I think I have a clear enough idea what we wanted to say that I can have a letter around that we should all be able to form consensus on by our meeting next Wednesday, and that would allow us to give the trustees our letter with our guidance on the substantive issues in time for their meeting.
So when you say it wasn't complete and the CAF is missing, the CAF was part of their. So there is a CAF, and I believe it was from April, because I looked at the last meeting at the Board of Trustees meeting. So for you to get that information, this is the part that I'm unclear on. Would this be on planning, or who's going to be providing that? So there is a CAF. I forget what else there was, but the full seeker documents are there.
Okay, well, maybe I've lost track of my own notes because I have a
Hey, Mr. Chair, so then the question becomes, if that's the case, then who has them? Because, again, planning staff came in after that time. The planning staff does not have them. All we had was what the clerk's office sent over in terms of the referral. So if someone's able to produce the document, then we'd be more than happy to take a look at it, from staff's perspective, and make sure that the board has it.
So William, I can send you the agenda link from when I found it. I think it was, like I said, it was April, if I remember correctly. So that's all I would be aware of. I don't know. My understanding was that Greg would be keeping those documents because he was heavily involved with the seeker process. How you get Greg's documents, that would be something to discuss maybe with Jerry or Dan Sarnoff.
So Christy, what I did to try not to delay it prior to our last meeting, I searched all the Board of Trustees agendas, and there was no Coastal Assessment Forum or EAF documents posted to any agendas, and the reference that the village clerk in the resolution made specifically referenced a date, and the Board of Trustees did not meet on that date. So it's very confusing. And in addition, I know Seamus had asked, what we previously corresponded to the Board of Trustees on, because this law has had several iterations for over a year, and we did comment to them last December, but the language and the law changed between the March or April meeting, I can't remember the dates, and in September, when they supposedly referred it to us without any information whatsoever. No EAF, no CAF, or corresponding information as to what area it covers. Are there any historic resources involved? Because these are tidal and freshwater wetlands, the definitions. So we need to know all the areas this encompasses, what the law applies to.
Okay, so I'm trying to find the resolution or the agenda right now because I found it before. I just to confirm, some of these, I don't know where the line is, but some of these appear to be planning tasks to me. So I just want to understand, like, there's a legal side and there's a planning side. So I want to make sure that we're all working together on that.
I'm going to see if I still have Sally Roberts' email to all of us in September. I'm not sure, but I'll look.
All right. Well, what we definitely need to get together a letter expressing our feedback on that law, and eventually, unlike the tree law, 50-foot setback comes up for consistency.
Yes, that's what it was referred to us for.
Right,
Consistency.
and we've voted it inconsistent, but it can come before us again. We need the trustees to understand what it is we have issues with, so that when it comes before us, hopefully it'll be in a form that we can take a positive vote on.
And that's the reason staff put it back on your agenda, because, like you said at the last meeting, you didn't feel you had enough information. And when I understood that the Board of Trustees had not voted on the application itself or the law itself, it gave your board more time to provide whatever comments you wanted to provide.
Yeah, it sounds like if they're going to take it up again, we have to get our letter out in advance of that. So it should be on for next Wednesday, and we'll have to have our letter ready to go by then.
Found the agenda that has the short EAF part 1, the CAF narrative, the CAF, and the narrative description. So it's from April 13th. I believe it's the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. So I will circulate that link right now.
Okay, but that's no longer for the text as it exists. The law has been substantially amended since that form.
I don't believe it's been substantially amended then.
Okay, all right. Well, that's different than what I thought. That's important information.
It was changed in July. I have all of the agendas if anybody wants to follow it, but
during July, those were very minimal edits, if I remember correctly. Those would not have been considered substantive, because I'm
what was added were definitions of tidal wetlands. Right, so that took it from one area of the village to another. I have a question. I found Sally's referral email to us. Who wants it? Anybody need it?
I would like that. Send it to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take it. I think we should all have the same info.
Yeah, me too. Send it around.
Okay.
All right. And so I think we know what we need to do there. Let's keep moving, because we're almost through our items. And the tree law. Now, as I understand it, there's been a lot of feedback on the tree law. Are we?
Well, if you, so Mr. Chair, if you remember, there was a meeting a while ago where the Board of Trustees asked your board for a recommendation. At that time, there was one of those meetings that ended up going rather late into the evening, and the board didn't get to it or whatever. With that being the case, again, when planning staff realized that the Board of Trustees had not voted on the matter, planning staff put it back on your agenda because you have more time to respond.
Yeah. Okay. So when are they looking at taking the tree law up again?
I think
right now I'm not certain about the Board of Trustees. I know that the tree committee is actually looking forward to hearing your comments before the tree committee makes whatever decision or passes it along to the Board of Trustees.
All right. Do you know what schedule they're looking at?
But I have a question.
Let me resolve this first, Doreen.
Well, to answer that question, they asked, when was it? I think it was last month, the latter part of last month, they asked, for your comments and for the zoning board's comments. The zoning board just recently sent their comments, or is in the process of still writing their comments. And again, it gives your board an opportunity to do so. So I'm hoping, this is staff, to be able to send your comments along with the zoning board's comments, hopefully by December or the early part of December.
Okay, that sounds realistic. I know when I've got a lot on my plate, can I get somebody I've got decent notes and I can get on a call with somebody, but if I could get somebody to volunteer to do the first draft of the comment letter on the tree law, that'd be really helpful.
Mr. Chair, if you'd like staff to do that, staff is here and available.
That would be terrific. Yeah, to take a first draft and then we can get on the phone, and talk about it, and hopefully be in a position to send around to all the commissioners so we can all consider it.
And Thomas, are you thinking that that would be sort of built around the pretty robust conversation we've already had on the topic, where we were putting things into the bucket of what would make it more LWRP compliant, also things that just improve the law? And is that, yeah, okay. I agree
We
with
talked
that.
it through. We all know what we think. It just didn't make it to
Exactly.
paper yet. You know, the last few weeks have not been us sitting around shooting pool, right? We've all had a lot going on. Yeah,
No doubt.
the robust discussion that we had just has to make its way to paper so that they can
Yep.
see what we think. We will hew as closely as possible to what the commissioners thought, and then we'll send it out. And if somebody wants to change the language, they can.
And
Okay.
William, I believe that I had forwarded at the time of that last conversation some very brief notes that I had sent to the chairman to you. So let me know if you don't have those in addition to minutes or whatever the source is. So thanks.
If you don't mind, if you could send those again, staff
Yeah,
has
I'll
had a lot going on, and staff will
Absolutely.
make sure we do what we need to do.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Now that's all I have on my agenda for our discussion items. Hopefully that's going to really streamline the process and we can just zip through several things. Martin?
Yeah, there's one other item. I put it on when I put on the letter. I don't know why it didn't show up. Just one quick item. Sent draft meeting dates for your 2021 calendar. And I wanted to make sure that everybody was comfortable with that, because what staff would like to do is post those dates on the village's website, on the planning department's webpage, and the public will be cognizant of when your dates are for the upcoming year.
Okay, let's do that right now, because otherwise I'm going to say I'll do it and I won't. So let's just get it done. What do we have? What do we have for 2021 dates?
My only comment on it was it looked fine. We would have a work session in August because the date was moved for a holiday. Just want to make sure that, I guess that's how we want to do it.
Thomas, you don't have everybody here to
That's true. That's true.
So if
Okay.
that's the case, have your conversation about it now. Give staff whatever feedback you have, and then do you want to vote on it at your upcoming meeting? That way, you have some consensus.
Yeah, we're going to need. Yeah, okay. We're going to need to vote on it anyway. So.
you know what? Just to let you both know, I'm sure you're aware, Thomas, but what Betty Ann Scherer used to do is she used to just send all of the dates, and if anybody had a problem, with any of the dates, correspond back. We never really voted on that.
I guess that's right. I guess we didn't. Actually, we probably should. In other contexts, when I've had board positions, we've voted on meeting dates, but I don't have a strong feeling.
Doesn't
that
hurt
it's
to start. Doesn't hurt to start. Yeah.
It's probably the right thing to do. So let's all check our calendars, and unless we have a date that really is going to kill us because we're not going to have a quorum, we'll hopefully be able to reach agreement on those and vote them at the meeting. That's an easy thing to end with, probably. Okay, I think we're through the.
Yeah, I had one quick question. We're through. We're through the agenda, right? Yeah, I just said because I had a quick question about something. So with the Outfall Jetty, does the Boston Post Road bridge on Mamaroneck Road, since that is over water, does that fall into our purview at all? Because that's being torn down and rebuilt.
Yes, but we didn't do consistency on it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
That was another one that has come to the committee as sort of this is coming down the pipe. It come to the commission in the past year, but it's been some time, right?
Well, they never came back to us, and usually, Department of State gets in touch with us because that's or the DEC, one of those agencies has to do consistency on that. It's just not like streamlined.
I think that project's going to start. very soon.
Huh. I don't remember us voting consistency on it. I don't think it came before us.
No, we had what I have to check my notes in a second. What I remember as hey, we are going to come back to you and talk about this, but just a heads up that it's coming. That's my recollection.
Right.
Well,
And I do know Union Bank on the corner, whoever owns that now, they have an underwater land grant, and the abutments for the bridge are on, the current ones are on that now, and they had to work out something with that underwater land grant with them. So I don't know what's going on.
Well, that's a good.
Yeah, that's important. Those are really important items there, because we don't want to give the state a pass and then come down on the county. So it should be an even hand on all of these projects. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, the date is.
Well, that's why I brought it up, Andrew, because I was, I hadn't seen it come across since I've been here. So it was.
Yeah.
So
Good catch.
July 2019 letter that said that we're just doing some preliminary design, no response is necessary, but we'll be getting back in touch with you with more specific project details. And I remember that being the tone of the meeting as well, or what little discussion there was of it. But I think it goes back to
do you know
July
what the
of
status
19.
of that project is? They told us they're going to come back to us with specific design issues. What's the status?
I think work's already started.
Yeah, I think it has too. So I can tell you what I know just because I live on Spruce Street, right around the corner from it. And so I was concerned when the project first came up last year that they would be directing all the traffic down my street because they would be, if they were going to stop the whole bridge. So I've been going back and forth with Dan Natchez about this to find out what the actual path was, and recommended that they change the direction of our street so that people wouldn't come down the street. And so the last thing that I heard from Dan at our last CFTE meeting last month was that they have worked out a way to do it, to keep 2 lanes open and do all the work, and that the project would be starting very soon. And so that's why I felt it was necessary to bring it up.
Yeah, there are going to be some serious ramifications, because if the contracts are signed and we delay it, there's going to be real damages, because this is all heavy construction. But at the same time, I think we have to get the village manager and the building inspector in like almost an emergency meeting to review this. It's not the right. It's not congruent with everything else that with everything else we do. We have to hold everyone accountable. I mean, the law's got to apply to everyone, right?
Yeah, Andrew, that's a you and me call tomorrow then.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow, is it tomorrow the holiday?
Yeah, tomorrow's Veterans Day.
Tomorrow's the holiday. Then
Thursday.
You and me call
Thursday. Yeah.
James, on that memo, that was from the engineers, correct? Because I had thought they had to do federal consistency on that.
Can you send me that stuff, Seamus?
Yeah, you can come over and look at it.
Picture of it and send it.
Yeah, I can. And we have, they gave us some real preliminary design. It's, 10 sheets of paper here. It's not a ton, but,
somewhere in the village, if we were notified, because this is really important, by DEC and DOS, notification comes to the village, and on our last DEC correspondence, we never got it into our inbox on Harbor Coastal Zone. Maybe the mayor received correspondence from the Department of State or Augie.
I believe this letter and, oh, sorry, Dorian, I didn't hear you still talking.
I said maybe the mayor or Augie, the village clerk, received correspondence from the Department of State and we missed it. It didn't get forwarded. I'm just saying maybe.
The letter that we have here, and you can maybe help us parse through this, Doreen, but I mean, it's from the Department of Transportation, so it's from the state, and it's addressed to Mamaroneck Harbor and Coastal Zone Management Committee. So, but that's. Well, I mean, I have it, so we got it, right? It's just that it said that more was to come, and I haven't ever seen anything since.
Well, which means
No,
that
what I'm-
further, if they're writing to us, further correspondence should have come to us. It shouldn't have snuck by us because it went to the mayor or the clerk. It should have come to us.
No, what I'm saying is, if federal consistency or coastal consistency with the Department of State, they send correspondence to the clerk and the mayor often, and it's forwarded to us through them. Communications really break down in the village. What I'm saying is what if it's a project that involves federal permitting for, like Army Corps stuff, the Department of State's involved. I'm assuming so, but the point being is maybe consistency was done by the Department of State and the memo was missed in getting to us. So maybe checking with the Department of State on this.
Well, and somehow Dan Natchez knows what's going on with it. So he had to find out from somewhere, right? He had to be notified by somebody at some point.
Oh, well.
Okay, Andrew and I are going to have to run that down, which we'll do Thursday.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I think that's all we can do for tonight. And hopefully this has streamlined what we can do next Wednesday.
Sorry to add more to your plate, Chair.
No, it's important stuff. Like Andrew says, law applies to everybody. We can't tell the county that it's not okay to end run us and then say to the state, well, we don't care. You can do whatever you want.
Right.
Okay. Thank you very much, folks. I'll now move to adjourn the meeting.
Just really quick, Mr. Chair, one last item. If anybody else has any comments as it relates to the tree ordinance, please feel free to send those along so staff can incorporate those into your letter. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank
Motion
you.
adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
See ya.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Okay. We're concluded. Thank you.